Two giant pandas from China have arrived in California as the San Diego Zoo's newest guests. For Beijing, pandas have always played the role of a reward for friendly nations or a punishment to highlight the regime's anger. So what's happening with the latest arrival? The panda's arrival on U.S. soil is widely seen as a sign of easing tensions between the two superpowers. China has not sent a pair of the black and white bears to the U.S. in 2 decades and recently allowed deals to expire that ended in the animals being sent home. The Chinese Communist Party has long used pandas as animal ambassadors to exert soft power. Beijing only sends the bears to other nations on loan, not on a permanent basis. The practice is sometimes referred to as panda diplomacy, with Chinese authorities offering the bears as rewards to countries that side with Beijing and forcing them home as punishment. That's by refusing to extend the loan agreements. In one example, Beijing took back almost all of the pandas it had loaned to America amid rising tensions with Washington over the past few years. Now, just months later, China said it's sending 2 young giant pandas to Washington's National Zoo by the end of the year, after Washington and Beijing brought ties back on steadier footing. For more insight about the Chinese Communist Party's panda diplomacy, we spoke to _, publisher of the Journal of Political Risk. _, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you back on the show.
Thanks.
Now, the public got their first glimpses of the 2 giant pandas at the San Diego Zoo in California. This is part of what's known as China's panda diplomacy, but what even is panda diplomacy?
That's a really good question because China has been giving pandas to countries that agree with the principles of the Chinese Communist Party. As you said, the Soviet Union, North Korea were some of the earliest big recipients of pandas. But they're also giving and taking away pandas depending on the current diplomatic situation. So if a country sanctions China or meets with the Dalai Lama, when Obama met with the Dalai Lama, they took the pandas away from the United States in a way as a punishment for the United States. Of course, nobody's going to not meet with the Dalai Lama or not support Taiwan for a couple of bears in a zoo, right? We're just not going to do that. We have our priorities. So I think it's possible that China is realizing that, especially with the United States, such a big economy, Europe too, such a big economy that they're dependent on as far as their exports, they're not really going to be able to use pandas as such a bargaining chip as they might with other countries. I mean, I think it's questionable. So I think we do need to start thinking about, when this topic of panda diplomacy comes up, we need to problematize it by asking, A, what's the Chinese Communist Party really, what's their agenda here? And is it covering up, papering over their abuses back home in terms of human rights?